to Coach's Corner, everyone. Thanks for watching the show. I'm your host, Coach Tripp. And you can see I got a special guest with me, Coach Jeff Rouzie. I call him Coach because he was one of my coaches at Bama. Coach, thanks for being on the show.
Oh, my pleasure, Paul. Appreciate you asking me.
Gosh, number 56 at Bama, linebacker. Coach, man, we got so much to talk about, but let's start from the beginning, right? Because I don't believe, the apple. I believe the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. You grew up in Jacksonville, is that right?
That's correct. Yes, sir.
And talk about mom and dad and your siblings.
Yeah, I grew up in Jacksonville, Florida. Was born in actually Amelia Island, Fernandina Beach. We moved to Jacksonville when I was 8. My mom and dad, they were both born in Jacksonville, and actually, this is kind of the funny thing. My dad went to University of Florida. My mother went to Florida State. And so my dad's brothers went to Florida. So I grew up a Gator fan, believe it or not.
Oh, yeah.
But that changed pretty quickly as I got into my high school career.
Well, talk about your high school. Did you learn a lot from your position coach, your head coach? Who had an influence on you? Who was a champion for you?
I'm glad you mentioned that, Paul, because there were 5 or 6 men in my life that had a great impact. And I go back to Little League Baseball, a gentleman named Mr. Easlick. He was actually a scholarship player at Duke, but he coached our Little League Baseball team and just had a big influence on me. And then as I moved up the ladder to junior high, Coach Joel Sharp, and he played basketball at Alabama. So that was where I started getting indoctrinated a little bit by, with Alabama. Great guy. And he was actually Hayden Riley's roommate. Coach Riley was here for a long time. He's been long passed away, but he and Joel Sharp were good friends. And then as I got into my high school, two people stand out. Monty Crook was my position coach. And then Bob Williams was our head football coach, and both great men and excellent coaches. So I was very fortunate.
Your teammates, did you have a good squad? Were you competitive? How did you get recruited? Talk about that experience getting recruited.
Oh, yeah. Well, going back a little bit to our football teams, we were very fortunate. We were a new high school that was created out of 3 other high schools, DuPont High School, Landon High School, and then Douglas Anderson, which was the Afro-American school there. So they combined all 3 high schools into Wolfson High School. So my timing was perfect. And actually the superintendent of schools at the time was Ish Bryant, and he was tired of the Miami schools beating up on the Jacksonville schools. So we had the best coaches, the best principals. I mean, we had the best of everything. And my junior and senior year, we played Coral Gables for the state championship. So we got all the way to the state championship.
Wow.
And my junior year, we lost to them in a real close ball game. Then my senior year, I actually hurt my knee the game before, playing Edgewater High School out of Orlando, and had to watch the game from the sidelines, and we lost 7-6. Lost 7-6.
Gosh. Oh man. Did you play both ways in high school, Coach?
I did. I played both ways, and I was usually the only guy that stayed on the field. My sophomore and junior year, I was actually an outside linebacker. Back then they called them defensive ends, and then I played tight end on offense. And then my senior year, they moved me to fullback, running back. And so I played a lot more offense my senior year, but still played a little defense when they needed me.
Oh my gosh, Coach, that reminds me of my high school. I went to Liverpool High School, which George O'Leary was my high school coach.
Yeah, what a great coach he is.
Oh my God, we had 4,000 kids in my high school, and 2 JV, 2 freshman team, and coach wanted me just to play fullback, and I somehow I talked him into letting me play DB. I don't know how, but there's only a couple of guys, that played both ways at our high school.
Yeah, that's how Coral Gables was at the time. Their coach was a famous coach named Nick Cody's, and they recruited all over the city of Dade, all over the county. I mean, you could actually, and they dressed out. I think in the state playoff games, you could only dress out 90, but they had as many people sitting in the stands as they did out there dressed out on the field.
Did you play other sports in high school, Coach?
Yeah, I did. I was a baseball player. Actually, baseball was I didn't play football until my 10th grade year.
Oh, wow.
But growing up, baseball, I played baseball all the way through Little League and junior high and on. And it was a sport that I had pretty good stats in, and really wanted to continue to play baseball. And that's one of the reasons, not the main reason at all, but one of the reasons that Alabama was high on the list, because they told me I was going to be able to play baseball and football.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about that. Because Coach Bryant was a baseball fan, and I think he even let your teammate at Alabama, Butch Hobson, play both.
Yeah, Butch was a great player, and let me tell you, Butch was a great quarterback too. But he made a good decision for himself, sticking with baseball.
Right.
I'll never forget my freshman year. Back then, you had freshman football. Freshmen couldn't play varsity. And so our last game happened, and I was in the lower gym throwing baseballs. And Coach Jim Goosetree, our trainer, came to me and said, "Coach Bryant needs to see you." And I said, "Oh, goodness, what have I done?" So I went up to his office, and he said, "Jeff," he said, "I promised you could play baseball. And when you came here, and I'm going to keep my promise, but if you want to have a chance of starting next year in football, I think you'll be out at spring practice." So that was the end of my baseball career.
I'll support you doing that, but oh my gosh, yeah, that's how Coach Bryant was, man. We're gonna tell a lot of Coach Bryant stories. He was a baseball fan though, because he used to go see Butch. Yeah, he used to call over Robin Carrion over his house, and Robin would have to, because he let Robin play a little baseball too. He would pick Robin's brain about the baseball and come over to my house and watch. Oh my gosh. All right, so let's talk about how you got to Bama. I know it was between the Gators and what was the final straw that had you pick Bama?
That's an easy one, Paul. It came down to really Florida, Tennessee, and Alabama. And Alabama was always in the lead. But what happened is after my junior year, we played Coral Gables for the state championship, and you get a lot of calls from different coaches. And I'll never forget one night, my mother answered the phone, and she said, "Is Coach Bryant on the phone? He wants to speak to you." And I said, "Oh, sure," to myself. And I'm walking up to the phone, and I'm saying, "There's got to be some of my buddies. Coach Bryant certainly wouldn't be calling me." By gosh, it was Coach Bryant. And all I could say was, "Yes, sir. Yes, sir." And that's all I said. So go fast forward midway through my senior year. I guess Coach Bryant knew I was going to get a lot of pressure from Florida and some other schools, so he wanted to check me out.
Right.
He called, and I was asleep. It was about 10 o'clock Eastern time, 9 o'clock Central, and Alabama is in Central. I was in the Eastern time zone.
Yeah.
And so my mother wakes me up and says, "It's real important that Coach Bryant says he needs to speak with you." I said, "Oh, my God, what have I done?" So I get on the phone. He says, "Look, I'm making my plans for the next 4 years, and I need to know whether we can count on you tonight, Jeff." I said, "Yes, sir." And that was it. My dad was standing behind me, and I said, "Dad, you want to say anything to Coach Bryant?" "Oh, no, that's your decision, son. That's your decision." But that gave me the guts to stick with my decision. And
thank God. Yeah, thank God for our parents. Yeah.
Yeah. And I certainly wouldn't have gone. I couldn't. There's no way I could have faced Coach Bryant after telling him I was coming and changed my mind. That just wasn't going to happen.
Oh my gosh, we're gonna get into Coach Bryant in just a few moments, but let's talk a little bit about your playing career at Bama. Of course, 1970 and 71, you won the SEC. We won the SEC 11-1.
Yeah,
you had a bunch of even had a couple picks. Like 70, 80 tackles. And talk about that year, because I know in 70 you guys went 6-5 or something, and I bet Coach Bryant was just going crazy.
Yeah, Alabama, after the 66, 67, we kind of went downhill for a few years there. and it's all about recruiting. It's players, and
Right.
so I think our class, the '69 signing class, was really the first really. Well, the class before that had a lot of talent too, with Robin Parkhouse, Musso, and all those guys,
Right.
obviously.
Right.
And but we had a lot of people that were coming in and then leaving for whatever reason.
Right.
And so our group came in, and with the combination of Robin and Johnny and that group, we had a pretty good nucleus. But my sophomore year, that's when we opened up with Southern Cal in Birmingham, and they basically took us to the woodshed. And that was my first college football game, because back then freshmen couldn't play varsity.
Right.
And but that was a good indoctrination.
Yeah.
And but the thing I remember most about that season is we started getting better as the season went along, especially on defense. We had talent,
Yep.
and we were still in the I backfield trying to throw the football down the field. We really just didn't have the offensive linemen at that time to handle the pass rush. So then my junior year, we came back and we opened up the season by beating Southern Cal, which was huge. Because that set us on the right direction.
Was that the wishbone? Was that the wishbone?
That was the wishbone, the unveiling of the wishbone.
Oh, man, let's talk about that, because Coach Bryant was a master at adapting and not dying. I mean, he could adapt, and a lot of coaches are stuck in their old ways and don't want to. Talk a little bit about that, and how you guys kept that secret, man. I mean, you can't do that now.
Actually, we didn't know it, and they didn't make the change until we came back in the fall practice. I mean, we went through the spring in the I backfield, and so that decision was made by Coach Bryant after the spring, because he just knew it didn't fit our personality, didn't fit our talents.
Right.
So and that, like you said, Coach Bryant would adapt to your talents. Yep. I mean, he was a coach. It didn't matter what the offense was, what the defense was. It's whatever players could perform at the highest level. That's what we were going to do. So we went to the wishbone, and everything was kept under wraps. And I don't think Southern Cal really knew what hit them till the second half. But it was the change in going to the wishbone offensively was the start of our success through the 70s. And that was a decision the head coach had to make. And like you said, Coach Bryant could adapt to the situation, and he was willing to do that. And it was a great decision.
So you started coaching after playing. You started coaching in 1976 there. Talk about how Coach Bryant invited you onto that staff, because you can talk about Coach. I mean, we got so much. Coach, we got so much to talk about. We got cuss jars to talk about. We got like promptness. The number one discipline that I learned from Coach Bryant, promptness. We got so much to talk about. But talk about Coach Bryant and how he got on staff and what it was like in meetings.
Paul, it's really good Lord has a way of putting you in places. But I was in a really bad car accident after my junior year. It ended my football career.
Yeah.
So I really, going from an athlete to a non-athlete, really didn't have a game plan, which is not very smart. But anyway, long story short, I didn't really know if I wanted to be a football coach, and so I was totally committed to Coach Bryant. I wasn't going to do anything unless I was fully committed, So I actually went back to high school, my old high school, for 1 year, and was the dean of boys and assistant football coach, and that was in '74. And then '75 and '76, I was at Rockledge High School in Titusville, outside of that area, Melbourne, and coached high school ball two years there. So in '77, I believe it was, Mal Moore was coming down recruiting, and so I met him and we talked, and he said, "Well, Coach Hennessy is fixing to get out of coaching. Do you think you'd be interested in coming back to Alabama?" And I said, Coach Moore, how fast can I get there? And he said, well, let me talk to Coach Bryant, and
wow.
we'll see what happens. So about a week later, I get a call from Coach Bryant, and he said, Jeff, are you ready to coach? I said, yes, sir, I'm ready to coach. He said, well, no hurry to get up here, but probably in the next month, I need to get you up here. And so I said, Coach, I'll be there. Anyway, long story short, I loaded up my U-Haul truck and moved. I was moving my stuff up there, got up there and went to, at the time, Rebecca Christian was Coach Bryant's secretary. So I went in to see her, and she said hi and so on and so forth. And I said, Rebecca, could you just check and see what my salary is going to be? Because I didn't discuss that with Coach Bryant. And she looks on this piece of paper and she says, Jeff, she didn't say anything. She just showed it to me. And I said, oh my God, what am I going to do? I mean, I just taken a 50% pay cut. So I had a friend that had rental houses in Tuscaloosa, and he was kind enough that fall to basically let me have the house just for the cost of the utilities. But then after the season, after the Auburn game, Coach Bryant called me in and did give me a little bit of a raise. So, but he was checking my oil, see if I really wanted to coach.
That is classic, man. He wants to know if your heart's in it from the beginning, man. You know, he wants to know if you're all in or just in it for the money. Oh my God, Coach. That's why I didn't get into coaching. When I got out of pro ball, I could have gone back to Bama and coach for $23,000 working 80 hours a week with a couple little kids. I don't think so. No, oh my God.
So anyway, funny story on that. I guess I'd been back about a month. I was in the office watching film. He walks down to my office and he says, hey, I'm cleaning out a bunch of stuff down here, Jeff. Why don't you come down here? You know, you're about the same size as I am, which is I'm not. But anyway, I went down there and he had a bunch of sport coats and pants and shoes. And so I wasn't going to, not take what he'd asked me to, I mean, I was scared to death. So I took 4 or 5 sport coats, and I'll never forget, I took them home, and Sarah looked at me and she says, what are you doing with those sport coats? I said, well, Coach Bryant gave them to me. She says, you're kidding me. I said, no, I'm serious. And, it had the label in there from his tailor and for Coach Paul Bryant. And
oh my God. I hope you still have those, Coach. I hope you still have them.
What we did is we actually raffled them off to a good charity. This has been a few years back, but but I actually wore several of those coats for 2 or 3 years there.
Oh my God, that is hilarious. All right, so you get in there and you guys are rolling 77. You win a national. You're really on the brink. You should have won at 77. 78 team, the Sugar Bowl winner, of course, the famous goal line stand in Alabama history.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize how good the 79 team was. 30-6 win over Georgia Tech. And then the 66-3 win over Vandy. 45-0 over Baylor, 38-0 over Wichita State, which, if I'm not correct, Coach Bryant started the second string on offense and defense.
Yep.
And then 40-0 over Florida. And after that, you guys outscored your opponents 219-9. Are you shitting me?
No, it's
I got to pay into the cuss jar.
Yeah, well, it's the 79 team was a great football team. They had a lot of oneness and very smart players. The kids that I had the opportunity to work with mostly were Randy Scott, Eddie Lowe, Robbie Jones, Thomas Boyd was a 2-time All-American. But Robbie Jones was a petroleum engineer major. I mean, Randy Scott was straight A's in business school. Eddie Lowe was A's and B's in business school. We had a bunch of smart players, and it was the same way with the defensive line. Same way with Sylvester, who coached the outside linebackers, Coach Sylvester Kroom, one of my good friends. I mean, we just had a bunch of kids in the secondary too, a bunch of smart football players, and they were really good and really good football team. The 78 team probably had more talent with Barry Krause, Rich Wingo, and Marty Lyons and that group. But the '79 team altogether was probably one of the best teams, if not, one of the had the most oneness, had a lot of leadership on that team.
Man, how tough were those guys, though, man? I remember coming there in 1980, and I thought, what the hell am I doing here, man? These guys are for real. Yeah, I was like, oh, my God, Coach Donahue calling over the walk-on DBs to come up and, stand 15 yards apart away from E.J. Jr. and Byron Braggs and those guys and go run right at them. I had lost, Coach. I was like, where did I end up, man? I thought I couldn't believe it. But the intensity was so powerful, and the passion was so, it was just, you could cut it with a knife, and I loved every bit of it, even though it took me 3 years to pull on the crimson jersey. But Coach, tell me what Coach Bryant was like in the meetings. I know you shouldn't talk unless talked to, but what were some of the personnel stuff that you learned from?
Yeah, Paul, that's I tell everybody that the difference in Coach Bryant's meetings and other head coach meetings that I've been in was Coach Bryant spent 90% of the time talking about every individual player, and not just talking about their athletic abilities or what you could do to make them a better football player, but what could we do to make him a better person. And that was a huge, huge thing. I mean, at the time, I didn't realize exactly what he was doing until a little bit later, but he would ask you about every individual, and it may be a guy that's a walk-on, it may be a guy that's an All-American. It made no difference to him. He was trying to understand that person and what motivated him, and that's where Coach Bryant was such a good motivator. He had a lot of background on each kid or each player before he actually sat down with him. And a lot of the information came from those individual, staff meetings we had, because it was, daily. That every day it was like that. Now,
that's amazing. I have to believe it. In my only one-on-one meeting with Coach Bryant was after I got there in August of '80. My first one-on-one meeting with him was August of '82. So he had a good 2 years to learn about me and, watch me on the practice squad against the ones every day for, I figured out, Coach, I went through 250 practices in over 500 workouts before I ever dressed for a game.
Wow.
So he would test you. He would test you more, more than any coach. He could read your heart better than any coach I've ever seen.
He could, and it's because he put the time in and he really loved his players. He would do anything for them. You didn't realize how much he cared until you left the program and, you were out in the business world.
Yeah.
And, he would do anything in the world to help his players. They were just like his family. And that shows up, with the Bryant Scholarship that they've continued and Paul Jr.'s continued. And it's just a special place. Once you're in that fraternity, you've got a huge family that everybody has a lot of the same experiences. Everybody's got their own, personal relationship with Coach. But it was, I'll tell you this, for me, Paul, it was the best decision I ever made, was to go to University of Alabama.
Me too, Coach. I wouldn't be, you and I wouldn't be sitting here today if we didn't make that decision.
That's right.
I thank God. I'm so thankful for everything, all the champions. Always expect the unexpected. Was that the best advice we ever got from him?
That was, and I love that. Always expect the unexpected. Yeah. If I didn't hear that once, I heard it 100 times. That about covers everything, doesn't it, Paul?
Oh, it does. It does explain everything. When I coached for 20 years, I studied him. I've read so many books on Coach Bryant, and I studied him for 30, 40 years. And I tried to use, all his tricks or all his, reverse psychology, all his motivation. I tried to use it as a coach.
The thing I love, the practices and what have you, is the practice schedule, they'd always pin up there in the lunchroom, the lineup, whether it was the HHs, which was the first defense, or the Reds, the first offense, HHs, second defense. And you may be All-American. But you didn't know. You went in there and checked to see where you were on that depth chart that day because you may be down with the colors. You never knew. He may pull somebody out just to check them out to see how they're going to react to that.
God, Coach, I think I was 6th string my first year, 4th string my second year, and then my third year I was 2nd string, and I think I stole that depth chart and kept it somewhere.
Oh yeah, that's classic. Wow.
Oh my gosh. He had any other stories? I mean, I know he didn't like cussing. He was a godly man. He was God-fearing. I know when Bruce Arians got there, Bruce was going to worry about if he was ever going to pick up a paycheck or not. But did he really have a cuss jar? And then I know did Coach Donahue probably never contributed to it?
No, Coach Donahue wouldn't. No, and that's Coach Bryant would just say, show your class at all times, and if you figure out another word, instead of using a cuss word, you need to be smart enough and have enough intelligence to use another word. And the other thing he said too, I'll never forget one day, and this is, I think after the situation with a player happened, he said, guys, I'll tell you what, if you put your hands on a player, you're going to have to defend yourself. So be careful about putting your hands on players.
Oh my gosh. All right, let's talk about just a few sentences on each one of these amazing people. Coach Ken Donahue.
Oh, man, one of my favorites of all time. Dedicated, totally most dedicated person I've ever been around. Most honest person, just a guy you could count on. If you were in a war, that you'd want Ken Donahue on your right-hand side. Great man.
Was he the impetus of the boxing match in '81 when Larry Roberts and Brent Sewell had to? You remember that, Coach?
Oh yeah.
We all got around like a boxing ring, and I don't know, man. I was just like, holy cow, man, this is really going on. And I don't think we didn't. I mean, we must have had a lot of fights, and Coach Bryant was sick of it. So we didn't. I don't remember having a fight after that.
No, I think that stopped it. That was a classic, man. Larry started off real quick, but wore himself out, and I think Brent ended up on top of everything. Wore him back. I mean,
I remember them knocking each other out and down, and Coach Bryant said,
yeah.
"All right, David, that's enough."
That's enough. Yep. Oh yeah.
Oh
but
my
Ken Donahue is. I treasure the years I spent with Coach Donahue.
No, man. If it wasn't for him, I would have never gone to Bama. He picked me up at the airport in Birmingham, and I got off the plane. And Coach, I thought I was 8 miles from the sun, from being from upstate New York. And it was warm. He didn't say 3 words to me, and 2 of them I didn't understand. The whole way.
I can imagine that.
All right, Mel Moore, the great Mel Moore.
Oh, wonderful person. The best trait that Mel Moore had. Well, first of all, he loved the university. I don't know if anybody loved it more than him.
Right.
But I never, ever heard Mal Moore say a negative thing about anybody. He he was a great friend, a huge friend to the university. I mean, can't say enough about him.
Okay, honestly. I got a question for you, Coach. It's been bugging me for 40 years, and I've had Major Ogilvy on. I've had a blah blah. I've had all these guys on. And Coach, and I was a scout team, obviously, when Mel Moore is running the offense, and he would just say, "Push, push, push." Coach, what the heck did push, push, push mean?
I don't know, Paul. You got me on that one.
He said it 1,000 times, and nobody knows what it means. But he was. I remember Coach Ryan coming down one time from the tower and getting on Coach Moore. Oh, my gosh.
Oh, Lord.
It was everybody scared. I mean, when he called me in his office for that time, I thought I was cut. I thought I got in trouble because I wasn't, the straightest guy in the world.
Paul, everybody was scared to death. When you went into Coach Bryant's office as a player or as a coach, you sat down in that old gray,
couch.
And you're looking up, and you're looking right there, and there's the Lord sitting there. You're looking right at him. And then you looked on his desk and you see all these little teeny flakes and you wonder what they are. Well, I finally figured out what that was. That was those little flakes coming out of his Chesterfield because they were unfiltered. So he had that habit of, kind of, and those were little flakes of tobacco all over his table.
Oh my God, that's one habit I did pick up from him. Oh my gosh. All right. Pat Dye, you coach with Pat Dye.
Yep. Coach Dye was my position coach. Love him to death. He was just a fair man. A great, that was the amazing thing, Paul. When I went to Alabama, Coach Dye was my position coach.
Wow.
He was a great player at Georgia. I remember him playing Georgia-Florida game was big. And, he was All-American, and you got John David Crow that was a running back coach. He won the Heisman Trophy. You got Steve Sloan, the quarterback coach, and we can go down the list. All of those guys were just, some of the guys I grew up watching play. And then to have them, coach me were just amazing. But Coach Dye, first class. Yeah. Great guy.
D. Powell, Coach Powell. Was he one of the Junction boys like Coach Stallings was? D. Powell?
Tough. Golly.
Was he a Junction boy? Was he a Junction boy?
He was a Junction boy. He sure was. And Paul, we used to, D was probably 15 years older than, Bryant Poole, myself, Sylvester Croom, Lewis Campbell.
Right.
And Lewis and I and Tex, we used to run a lot. Well, D sometimes would get out there and run with us. And we'd run 5 or 6 miles at lunch, and D would be right there with us. He would not let us beat him. He was just a tough guy, a heck of a guy.
Oh, man. Did he ever talk about that Junction boy?
Very little.
Very little. Very little. Yeah. That must have been, must have been brutal. Oh my gosh. Coach, man, when you got into business, you got out of coaching. How did all that experience help you in business and real estate?
Oh, it was, obviously, Paul, that's, playing athletics and being there at the university was a huge part of, the success I had in business. I went out to actually Houston, Texas. I was the general manager for Richardson Seismic Services. And a funny story, I'd been there about a month, and at the time, Mitchell Energy was one of the bigger independent oil companies in the country. And Coach Bryant and George Mitchell were really good friends. George Mitchell was a big Texas A&M grad and alumni. And so I get a call, and it's Coach Bryant, and he said, "Jeff, how's everything out in Houston?" I said, "Just fine, sir." He said, "Well, have you been by to see George Mitchell yet?" And I said, "Mr. Mitchell, I don't think would have time to see me, Coach." He says, "The hell with that. You'll hear from him this afternoon." About an hour later, this guy calls me named Luke Corbett. Luke Corbett was the exploration manager for Mitchell Energy. And he says, "I don't know who the heck you are, but we're having lunch tomorrow." And we ended up getting the contract with them, and it was great. Luke Corbett and I became pretty good friends. He was a Georgia graduate and ended up CEO of Kerr McGee, and just a great guy. But Coach Bryant could make a phone call and
and help his former players out. He loved his. He only had Junction boy. I got the 315 ring here that Coach Bryant gave me. But he only had the Junction Boys ring on when he died. He had 6 national titles. He got robbed out of 2 more. He should have had 8. He's still the GOAT. And that's I think his legacy. I think he's still the best ever.
The
kind of. But one more thing I wanted. He would roll over in his grave, and I hate to say it, but. He took care of his players so much that our tickets are like upper deck end zone. I mean, what is up with that? I mean, they should be at least in the lower bowl somewhere down in the lower bowl.
Yeah, well, it's unfortunately things
money.
Nowadays. It's
got money. Got to be about. See, Coach Bryant would not be. See, he wasn't about money. Coach Bryant was not about money.
No, sir, he was not. And but Yeah, things have really changed nowadays. We know.
It's not, yeah, things have changed. It's about money instead of heart. But I'm glad we grew up when we did, man.
I am too, Paul.
Coach, man, I respected you when I was there, man, and I really appreciate everything you did for me. I was just a average player there, but man, what a time we had, and for you, got a lot of memories, and a lot of guys want to say thank you because of the impact that you had on a lot of people. Thanks.
Well, thank you, Paul. And I want to say a couple of things. One is at Alabama, it didn't matter if you were a starting position player, or if you were a scout team player, or if you were a manager, or if you were a student, or if you were a faculty member. You all had a part, and it took all of those people, everybody coming together, working for common goal to make it happen. And,
he never treated me any different than I was a All-American from Tuscaloosa or a Yankee walk-on like me. He didn't treat me any different.
No, it was all about the effort that person gave and its character and class.
And not where you're from, who you are, right, Coach?
That's exactly right. Right.
God bless you, Coach. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate you, Paul.
Okay, buddy. Have a great one. Talk to you soon, Coach. Bye-bye.
Thank you now. Bye-bye.
Okay. Wow. Coach Jeff Rouzie, unbelievable player, gets injured. Great coach, super coach, great person. Man, just some great stories. I hope you enjoyed. Maybe we'll do a part 2 with Coach Rouzie. But thanks for watching. Of course, this show is title sponsor, Hill Kelly Dodge, Seiler Agency, Ronnie's Car Wash, Arbitrium, Bama Club, State Farm, Beck, Seiler Agency, many more. Stay tuned for these messages, and we'll talk to you next week. Have a great sports weekend, everybody. So long.
There's a reason why Hill Kelly in Pensacola is the #1 selling Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram dealer between Jacksonville and New Orleans. While other dealers have taken advantage of a competitive market with higher prices, Hill Kelly has discounted prices to the lowest of the year. And Hill Kelly in Pensacola won't surprise you with excessive charges beyond the selling price. Come see why people from Milton, Pace, Foley, Bay Minette, Daphne, Gulf Shores, Mobile, and beyond are driving to Hill Kelly in Pensacola to buy their next new Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, or Ram. At Hill Kelly, the bottom line price and your satisfaction are what really matter. So before you sign, check the bottom line and make the trip to Hill Kelly in Pensacola to see what true local ownership can do for you. At Hill Kelly Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Highway 29 in Car City, Pensacola. Or shop online 24/7 at hillkellydodge.com. When it comes to bottom line pricing, nobody beats a Hill Kelly deal. Nobody.
That's you trying to fix the plumbing yourself to save a few bucks. Doing things yourself doesn't always end well. The same goes for insurance. That's why Auto Owners works with local independent agents who tailor coverage to meet your needs and offer discounts for life, home, car, and business insurance. Because sometimes you need a professional to get the job done right. That's simple human sense.
Are you riding around in a filthy vehicle? Dirty car no more. Visit Ronnie's Car Wash today to get it shining in no time. They have 3 convenient locations with another coming soon. The unlimited monthly wash packages start as low as $14.95 per month with free vacuums, multi-purpose spray, and towels. Visit them in Gulf Breeze, Navarre, Fort Walton, and soon Crestview. Don't wait. Wash today. Be sure to see Ronnie's Car Wash on Facebook to see the latest specials and discounts. You'll be riding and shining in no time.
75 years of service and high tech today. It's Pensacola Glass Company at 433-8348. High tech is a term often applied to advanced services and products in today's marketplace. And today, glass is much more than the simple painted brittle, see-through stuff we hit baseballs through when we were kids. Glass is now a product with unique flexibility in both performance and application. And Pensacola Glass Company is growing right along. That's Pensacola Glass Company at 433-8348.